right, y'all. Welcome to Skewed Reality Podcast. This is specifically a podcast where we talk about life, love, sports, culture, politics, and so much more. Whatever it is, there is no limit. This is your girl, Bree, A.K.A. the Ego Bruiser, and I'm here today with Shantae. What is it? Go ahead, correct me. Tay, not Shantae, Tay. And, not only was her ass late, but I finally got her in the building, and I was just joking with her, literally, because for me, she's like the most social person that I know. Like, if you get her in a conversation, it ain't no stopping her. But, you hear from her when you hear from her. And that's just the dynamic. We all got lives. So, really, this episode is about women empowerment. And we had a great conversation before getting on camera with you guys and really just discussing the dynamic of relationship, friendship, and just the respectability and love languages. We went over a lot of stuff.
We did.
Yeah, but how you feeling today? Just let's hop into that. Speaking to the mic, make sure you do that.
I feel good.
Okay. You look good. I done said that to her like 3 times, and not to over flatter you.
Thank you.
But the red is popping. Okay, you're my first female guest on the show, so I'm excited about that. Right, so this episode again is all about women empowerment and really talking about things of how we can invest in not just women but black women in general, because that's what we are, that's what we represent, and we fall somewhere in society. But what do you think? What's the first thing you can do to empower women? Because we just talked about complimenting homegirls and being able to accept and uplift others, but it comes a time when it's too exhausting. What do you think is the main key to empower women?
I think one of the main keys to empowering women is to set an example with action.
Sure.
Sometimes you have to wear the demeanor. Okay, you have to.
You gotta wear the demeanor.
You have to teach people how to treat you and how to talk to you.
Absolutely.
So if you want someone to speak to you calmly, 9 times out of 10 your approach has to be calm.
Right.
And then you have to be intentional.
Right.
We were talking earlier about it's not about women empowerment, but we were talking about relationships between
Well, it is empowering to women because obviously there's a major disconnect at times between men and women and our expectations and the standards, and I love that. She dropped a gem on me so cold that I kind of want you to share with the audience.
Yeah, so what I was explaining to her, and I think that it can go both ways. It can go with a relationship with a man and woman, or it can go with relationship between women. She was speaking about standards.
Yep.
And I cannot really remember how we got to. We were talking about standards, but
yeah.
I was telling her
and just our dealings with people. What's the difference between a standard and an expectation? Yeah.
And so she was saying, I was saying sometimes you have to be accepting.
Right.
We will expect things from people based on our wants or our needs.
Yep.
What we think someone should do or how we think someone should handle a certain situation. And she was saying, well, that's a standard.
Yep.
And I was like, no. Because the person
Not
should...
at all.
The person should meet your standard
prior to
them. That should be
the very first thing you were calling that the interview phase.
Foundation of the relationship.
Right.
Okay, we get to know each other and getting to know each other and developing that friendship, then I find that you have the qualities or you meet my standards. And so now we're in this relationship. And I was telling her that we get into relationships, and once we get into those relationships, then we have these expectations.
Yeah.
And so she was saying, well, no, standard and expectation is the same. And I told her, I was like, no. The standard is going to the job interview.
Yep.
And they ask you
it's the
question.
The position, right.
They want to know, what qualifies you for this job? Mm-hmm. What can you bring to this job? So they ask you an array of questions. if you meet the standard, you get the job.
Right.
Now, when you get the job, you know your job title, you know your job description. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you know the expectations of that boss or that manager or whoever it is that you're working for.
That's actually stepping into the role that you've received.
Correct.
Or been accepted for. Yep.
I also let her know that there in the past, when I was a teenager, I worked for 2 separate managers. So there was a day shift manager and a night shift manager.
Yep.
While the job was the same, the description was the same, the expectations from each manager was different.
Very
different. I was on the same job.
And can change too.
Yeah.
Right. Expectation can change, rather the standard is supposed to be, you know.
Correct. Right.
You know what we're saying.
Sometimes if you do a good job, then they expect more of you because you did such a good job.
Yeah.
So sometimes that falls in, if you are, what that would look like in a friendship or in a relationship is like, oh, if you are a woman and you cook for your man every day, but then you have some extra shifts and you're just not feeling it, his expectation of you is to cook
every day
because that's what you do. So then you're upset because he's expecting that of you, but you set that expectation.
Right.
I find it a lot with men. Men will date you.
So what was his bottom line standard in that scenario? If the expectation was for her to cook every day, what was the bottom line standard?
She cooked every day.
So
cook. Sometimes a person can say to you, I've been in this position where I would say, this isn't a standard of mine, but once a person opens the door for it and then they begin to do it then you begin you begin to expect them to do that.
Right.
And a lot of men do that. Like when you meet a man, he opens the door all the time. He's giving you affirmation all the time.
You like it when he's all about you. Start going on that frequency.
Right. And then the guy is like, well, I'm expecting you to do what you were doing.
Right. You want to fall off.
That comes with it. I guess in a sense, you have to know, we will end a relationship or even friendships because somebody doesn't meet our expectation, and we will forget that they met our standard. The expectation thing is, okay, she and I are friends, and every time I come to her house, she has wine for me. So if I come to her house on this day and she doesn't have wine, do I throw the whole friendship away because she doesn't have wine? Because when we developed the friendship, it wasn't my standard. The standard wasn't that she had to have wine. The standard was that she had to be loyal. The standard was that she had to be understanding.
All these are the different characteristics of people.
Basically. So sometimes we will end something because a person doesn't meet our expectation, which isn't our standard. And it was just something that they did because they liked it. It's just like me doing hair. I like doing hair, but I know I don't want to do hair as a career because I don't want anyone to expect that of me.
Right.
You know. But if
by the way, we're going to have to tap into some of your talents. Some that we've thought about together and conjured up. Others you've created and planted that seed and grow it. But anyways, you know.
But yeah, so we were talking about that, and we always did. That's one thing we're both like we talk, so you can go everywhere with conversation. But we were talking about that standard and expectations and kind of like knowing the difference between the two. Like what my standard is, that can't. You can't go underneath that. That's like this is my standard.
Hey,
and
it's
that's
a standard to have your own crib. But now when I move in there, the expectation is you continue paying all the rent yourself. Right? Like, okay, break it down like that. Okay.
But that's something that you should discuss prior to. You know. So a lot of times people don't do that. Like, okay, I see that you do this. Is this a thing that you like doing? Is this something that you're gonna do all the time? I like to just make jokes like, okay, don't get me too accustomed to that now. don't spoil me like that.
Don't get me too accustomed.
And then give that person some room to say, oh, well, this is just what I like doing sometimes. But a lot of times we'll take it personal when someone stops doing something that really wasn't the standard
in the first place.
You know, some people just want to like doing what they're doing. They don't want to feel forced.
Now, my question is, to shift the conversation, is there a such thing as unrealistic standards?
I think there's a such thing as unrealistic expectations.
Okay. There's a difference. Okay. So your standard could be whatever. It's basically the preference, the foundation, the premise that lays it out. Right.
I mean, when you go to different jobs, the standards at Rainbow is not the standards at Nordstrom. The standards at Nordstrom is not the standards at Macy's. And
that was so
Saks Fifth Ave. Whatever you feel like your worth is, you can set your standard at. Right. That's your standard. Now, and just make sure that you are aware of your standard and make sure that you meet your own standard. How about that?
Thanks.
Because
thank you.
If I go into Saks Fifth Ave, or if I go into Gucci, or if I go into Chanel or something like that, I might expect them to have some wine or something for me.
Facts.
But
because
you can't go in
bread.
Correct.
Right? Yeah.
You can't go in Forever 21 or something. Be like, whatever I have. Right. And they can't expect you to come in
with a bag that you're gonna spend.
Right. So,
with a $20 shirt.
You can go in Forever 21 and have your phone, but a lot of you can't record nothing when you walk in a Louis or something. They don't. That's their standard.
Exclusive content.
Right. That's their standard.
Yeah.
So I think as women, though, to get back to the women empowerment, I think that a lot of times we as women don't embrace the difference. Yeah. And our differences. We are so quick to judge. Right. We judge so much. Okay, if she sleep around, she's a whore. Right. Whatever. But I don't sleep around, so I'm better. I'm better. And
I think there is a such thing as being out of a certain standard or league of people, because as you elevate, you start to leave certain people behind, because our mentality is just not the same.
That's true. So let me ask you a question. But it still doesn't require judgment. Now, if this is what you do, I don't have to judge you. That's just what you do. True. Oh, that's what she does. That doesn't say anything about me, and it's not for me to downplay her. Right. Because what she does, it works for her. What I do, it works for me. Right. That's like to say I talk to a lot of guys in my life, but I didn't sleep with all of them.
True, but niggas will assume you did.
People will assume you did. You did, right? Because maybe they did.
Don't lie on your dick, man. Don't lie on the dick.
But at the same time, it doesn't make you, as a woman who doesn't sleep with a lot of men, any better than a woman who does. Because there are some degreed up women. Got degrees, own house, own car, which are dad, whatever. Sleep with everybody, and you never know it. Right. And then there are some girls
who like that.
Drake's reckless, out here, whatever. Right. And you would look at her
you be like, dang, everybody smashed. And she really to herself.
Correct. Right. So that's judgment.
True. But they always said that the basic principle is don't judge a book by its cover.
But a lot of people do it. Right. And we as women, especially black women, we do it
unison
the most.
Please.
The most. We do it the most. We will judge, what I say about black people and all, but just black women, we will judge you on your shoes, your hair,
right,
your makeup.
That gel on the edges. I ain't even gonna lie to you.
Why she got them hoops on instead of them studs. She got them lashes on. She should have had them lashes on. Right. Why her cut crease dark blue and hers is girl, she shouldn't wear them.
I never go that in depth, but you're right. You're right.
But
that's some psychological.
Oh, I done been around a whole lot. I done been around a group of females dressed to the T, all that. Right. And they ain't did nothing to get nothing but mess with the right nigga. But I would see them sit down and judge chicks that I know working, doing their thing, independent all day. Ain't looking for a dude to do anything.
You codependent.
And they'll sit down and talk, what she doing here, whatever. Like,
didn't you just get in here with his card?
judging because
Facts.
you met this nigga that's out here getting this quick money
But
or
I
whatever
mean,
he's doing.
true.
But you're automatically downing her.
Facts.
Because she got a job.
Right.
You know, because she not wearing this or wearing that.
So what's your response to that when you see such